Hey guys, today we're going to talk about something very serious. Deer munching. That's right, those deers that wander into your yard and start to munch on everything and anything. I'm going to go over 20 different trees, shrubs, and flowers that are deer resistant. That's right, deer resistant, not deer proof, but deer resistant, to try to combat the problem, which should help them stay out of your yard and into your neighbor's yard. This is a good one. Stay tuned. So the first tree I'm going to talk to you today about is the Seven Suns tree. This is the most underrated tree. No one knows about it. It's a beautiful tree. It's a fast grower, and deers hate it. Deers do not eat it. They don't eat the blooms. They don't eat the foliage. For whatever reason, this is a great tree. It's got a really great bark. You can see the foliage is really dense. Like I said before, fast growing. Wonderful tree to include in your landscape. Okay, the next tree slash bush would be the ServiceBerry tree. This tree is wonderful, looks great. Again, a pretty aggressive grower. It also produces an edible fruit, which deers don't tend to eat. So the next tree we're going to talk about is the Japanese maple. Now, the Japanese maple could get eaten by a deer. I've never had an issue with it. They are known to have some issues with it, but in general, most would consider them deer resistant. And for me personally, I've been here for 6 years with that tree and they've never touched it. So the deer in my area don't like it. I would recommend the tree. It's beautiful in the winter, spring, fall, bright red. It's a really great, slow growing tree. Okay, our next one is a boxwood. Boxwoods are impenetrable to deer. They don't like the foliage. Again, it's sort of an odd shaped foliage. It's probably one of the best bushes that are bomb proof. I can absolutely say they do not eat them. So we've got them peppered throughout our entire landscape. They're really pretty bushes. Okay, our next bush is the lilac bush. This is a really hardy bush. It likes to be in sun. Again, foliage, they don't want anything to do with it. And the lilacs have a great scent to them that typically resist, make them not want to smell it or eat it or touch it. Now, what's interesting here is I have some hostas in here that haven't been exited yet from my yard. But you can see down here, the hostas have been eaten, but the lilac bush has not been. So this is a great example of a deer-resistant plant. The blooms look amazing in the spring and early summer. Okay, this next beauty is an oak leaf hydrangea right here. You're gonna start seeing similarities with some of the foliage. It's kind of a rougher, more porous foliage, which in general, that's what they look like. But the oak leaf hydrangea is a great variety of hydrangea that they tend to leave alone. They don't eat the flowers, they don't eat the foliage. There are other hydrangeas, however, that they do eat, so make sure you do your homework on which hydrangea you're getting. But in general, the oak leaf, I would highly recommend. The next bush that I'm going to talk about is the butterfly bush. This is a great one. Not only does it attract hummingbirds and butterflies, it also is deer resistant. They do not eat the flowers. They do not eat the foliage. It's a fast grower. As long as you keep it out of the wind, you want to make sure it's not in the middle of the field or anything. But the butterfly bush is an awesome bush. Butterflies all over it. As you can see here, the flowers are this really bright, vibrant color, beautiful in the really in the midsummer. So it's a really nice surprise. So yeah, the butterfly bushes are a wonderful addition. They have a fuzzy, odd texture to the foliage. The deer hate them. Okay, this next one is a ground cover. This is Creeping Jenny. A lot of people know of Creeping Jenny as an annual. What I found out is a perennial, and it does stick around. It works great in rocks, so you'll see it throughout our garden, but it's a really wonderful plant. The deers do not touch it. It's beautiful lime green. I love the color, the foliage shape, everything, and it's a fast grower. You actually have to keep an eye on it to make sure it doesn't overgrow your garden. But this is another one the deers leave alone, and it looks beautiful. You guys know that I live on a hill, and I've got a lot of rocks. So I've got these different sedums. So along with Creeping Jenny, I've done some different types of sedum. These sedums go around my whole patio, and they fill in. They use virtually, they need almost no dirt at all. They can grow within stones. But these hardy sedum plants are awesome. So I would highly recommend sedum if you have any kind of border, or if you're trying to plant things within rocks. They just grow really well. Deer don't touch them. Okay guys, I caught this just a little after its bloom in its prime, but this is lavender. And lavender, they hate. It's got a smell to it that they do not appreciate. The foliage is kind of gangly and a little bit rough, so the deers do not tend to touch it, and it's a great grower. It likes full sun, so you just want to make sure that you're in a good spot with sun and it will thrive. This big mass of tall foliage is called Halfway to Arkansas. This stuff is awesome. So this is an early bloomer. Typically in like June, it's just a big plume of white, but it's hard to get a sense of what it's doing here, but it's a really interesting foliage and it kind of fills in this large chunk. It's about 3 to 4 feet tall. They're big, huge rockets. They're really a great plant. And you can also tell that the foliage is that similar type of thing where, you know, it's just kind of a odd shape. The deers tend to stay away from them. Okay, so here's another perennial. This is the Coreopsis. This guy is a wonderful border plant. It's a good perennial, comes back every year. The bright yellow flowers are around almost the entire summer. We have them bordering our entire driveway. Never once have we had an issue with the deer eating them. Again, if you look at their foliage, it's kind of an odd shape. The flowers put off a little bit of a scent, and in general, they don't want anything to do with them. Okay, you guys, you've seen our arbor a couple times, but on our arbor, we have a honeysuckle. And as you can see here, the honeysuckle is a beautiful flower. Again, midsummer, so it's a really nice surprise by the time it starts growing. And once it's established, it really goes in thick every year. We cut it down each year, but the foliage is, again, a little fuzzy. They don't seem to like the texture. And it really just makes for a wonderful creeping, crawling plant, especially on an arbor. All right, the next one we're going to talk about is grasses. And grasses in general, they don't touch. So you can see at our house, we have these wonderful zebra grasses that just are awesome. They desire full sun. The shape of the foliage, I don't know if it's the shape, the color, but in general, all of our grasses are pretty much left alone. So we have the zebra grass, and then over here, we also have the larger plumes of grasses. But typically, the grasses that we have in our yard are not touched. We have 3 or 4 different variations that the deer hate. You do need to make sure they're in full sun, though. Okay, guys, so the next one I'm going to talk to you about is another good rock grower. It's thyme. So you can see here I have a pretty good plume of it. This started with 1 plant, so it's doing very well. The deer hate it. It's got a scent to it that they can't stand. So when you mix that in with the other plants, you end up getting that scent, which typically makes the deer not want anything to do with it. So in general, thyme, planting it in as a filler, rock walls within retaining walls is a great one. And the scent is just not attractive to the deer. Okay, guys, another tried and true plant is CatMint. Deers hate it, and it's really nice to integrate into the garden in general because wherever it is, they typically don't want to be by it. It smells bad. They don't like, well, it smells good to us, but it smells bad to the deer. The foliage also got a little bit of a tooth to it, which they don't like. Now here you can see that this is actually ready to be cut down for the first time this summer. I need to cut it down. When I cut it down, it'll regrow and bloom again. It's beautiful lavender flowers, highly suggest it. Planted throughout the garden. Some of my favorite plants now, the Russian sage. This is the Russian sage. You can see it looks beautiful. It's a huge, big, spiny looking plant. It also puts off a fragrance that they do not like. It's a beautiful plant. I love the foliage. So I highly recommend the Russian sage. Okay, the next one is Hemmelo Betony. I crucified that name. But it's this little guy here. He's past his bloom right now, but he has a great foliage, kind of a deckled leaf, a little bit fuzzy, wonderful flower. I'd like to actually put more of them in. Very hardy and no issues with deer on these guys. Okay, the next one we have is a plant called Astilbe. The Astilbe is a really great plant. The foliage is a little bit fuzzy. It also has a nice vivid, bright flowering bit normally like in July into August, but these guys fill in really well, and they are deer resistant. Okay, guys, next we have what's called as ironweed. Some call it a weed, but this is an amazing plant that grows 2 to 4 feet tall. Deer typically do not want anything to do with it, and they're a late bloomer. They normally bloom in late August into September, bright purple flowers. And as you can see right here, these ones are just about ready to erupt. So we're getting close, but they fill in really well. In my garden, they're up on the hill, and they really are a nice patch of bright purple when you're looking for something new. Hey guys, I hope that video helped. I couldn't find anything on YouTube about deer munching in general. So I will have in the description a list of all my plants, plus some additional plants that you can consider for this exact issue. I hope it helps. Don't forget to smash the like, and please hit the subscribe button for more great content just like this video. Have a great day, guys.